Why it's much harder to build a budget gaming PC this year? Plus the reason and how it started. Most of you will think about it's AI. Well, that's absolutely true.
What?
But if you only think that AI is the reason, then you're completely uninformed because that's only the surface of what's actually happening. In this video, I will break down and analyze what's happening in tech economy in the past few months that I think could potentially end badly for us consumer and make us wonder if it is still possible to build a budget gaming PC, and what could be the reason why I think it's harder to build a budget gaming PC right now. So in the past few months, Samsung and SK Hynix signed a so-called strategic agreement with OpenAI. Basically, this deal is part of OpenAI's strategic project which needs a massive amount of memory for AI systems. If you don't know what DRAM is, it's basically the base material used to make RAM for computers. Normally, this goes into things like DDR4 or DDR5 memory for PCs. But a growing portion of advanced memory demand is going somewhere else that is called HBM, which is used for AI and data centers because it can handle much faster processing. So why am I telling you this? It shows that these companies are starting to focus more on AI related memory because that's where demand is growing the fastest, not from consumers but from enterprises. They still make memory for regular PCs, but a bigger share of their focus is now going toward AI and data centers needs instead of just consumer products. But we can talk about Samsung and SK Hynix without mentioning another big company in the memory industry. In late 2025, Micron announced the most heartbreaking news for budget builders. It's stopping its crucial consumer brand. Why? Because AI and data centers are exploding in demand and need huge amount of memory. And since supplying those market is more profitable than selling to regular consumers, Micron decided to focus its resources there instead. That means no more crucial RAM and SSDs being sold directly to consumer. But that doesn't mean they stop making memory. They still produce it, just that more of it now is going to big companies and data centers instead of retail products. So instead of focusing equally on both, Micron is now paying more attention to AI enterprises customers where demand is much higher. So I mentioned these three companies and what they did. But what does it have to do with building your budget gaming PC? In the past, a big part of the industry was driven by consumer demand, including gaming PC, productivity, and general personal use. Companies competed heavily on performance. And you know what? That competition helped push prices down over time or keep them stable even as hardware become more powerful. And this was a great time for budget builders. But now, even though they still make memory for consumers, except Micron, a bigger part of their attention and production is going to AI servers and data centers. This might affect budget builders because it can make supply harder to get for consumer parts and make price drop happen more slowly. If you will say, budget builders can just buy old-gen second-hand parts for much cheaper price, well, this is where the other problems of budget builders comes in. The thing is, everything is advancing in tech industry. CPU, motherboard, GPU, storage, RAM, whatever you call it. New platform like AM5, LGA 1700 socket, DDR5 RAM, 40 or 50 series GPU are slowly becoming the new standards for productivity and gaming. It's not because consumer chose it, but because many modern software and games are becoming more demanding. Why? Because game developers are creating better graphics, games with more complex system while productivity software also taking advantage of newer hardware. So what's the problem? The problem is even if budget builders was able to build cheap PC and save money, they will eventually need to move to higher platform in a short time because old-gen components have low upgrade potential, shorter support, and have higher chance of struggling in future games and software. Because of that, consumers are often stuck with these two choices: buy older hardware to save money today and risk needing an upgrade sooner, or spend more money upfront on newer hardware that will likely last longer. Unlike before, when budget parts could handle most tasks for years without any major problems, things are changing much faster now. Games are getting more demanding. Software is taking advantage of newer hardware and new platforms keep replacing older ones. Because of that, cheap hardware doesn't stay relevant for as long as it used to be. But budget PC can still be a good option, but the gap between affordable and future-proof is getting bigger every year. And that's what's make building a budget PC in 2026 is much harder than it used to be. But if you're still planning to build a budget PC, I already made a video where I break down how I choose each component so you don't end up wasting money on parts you don't actually need. It might help you a lot if you're trying to figure out your build.